and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1898B, and today's date is June 20th, 2019, and the title of the episode is Deep State Took the Bait, Now It's the Patriots' Turn. Now, before I get started, I wanted to talk about VPNs. The Department of Homeland Security has officially come out and said foreign-based VPNs can pose a security risk to the United States government. Virtual Shield is located in the United States, which respects user data laws but does not log its users' browser's history. This month, Virtual Shield is offering a Father's Day celebration special of 20% off all VPN plans and all premium add-ons. Sign up for a free 30-day trial by clicking the link below. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, today we saw in the news, and I'm sure many of you already saw this, that Iran shot down the United States drone. Now, the question is, was it really Iran? Trump came out and he said something very interesting, that maybe it was someone who made a mistake. Maybe it was someone else that did this. And he's not talking about going to war. I know the mainstream media, I know the neocons, the deep state, they all want us to go to war. But he's not talking about going to war. That's not the plan. The plan is to go after the deep state and remove them from within Iran and all the rogue players, just like he did with North Korea. Remember, he's already in the negotiation process to make a deal with Iran. I do believe this is happening in the back room someplace. And they need to clean out the rest of the individuals. Remember, there's a lot of people within Iran on the deal that was made that have a lot of skin in the game, which means they were making a lot of money off of this, that they were hiding certain things. And if this is exposed, they go down with the ship, and they don't want this to happen. And they will do whatever they have to do to stop this. Think about the past of what happened before, when Trump was trying to make deals with North Korea with all the missiles going off, with everything else. And we can see that Trump and the Patriots baited the deep state, and they took the bait. And we'll be talking about that in just a minute. But first, I wanted to start off with Joe and Hunter Biden. It seems like they are now in the spotlight, and the mainstream media is actually asking questions about their dealings in Ukraine and China. Now, Biden has been criticized for conducting diplomatic work as vice president in countries where his son Hunter Biden was engaged in business, but refused at 2 campaign stops to take questions about the controversy. And the mainstream media is now asking questions. ABC was out there asking questions, and he refuses to answer the questions. Instead, his campaign promised that Biden would issue an executive order on his first day in office to address conflicts of interest of any kind. And he'll answer all questions about what happened in Ukraine and China after he's elected. Well, first of all, he's not getting elected. Second of all, he needs to answer the questions now, because there's documented proof that his son was involved and engaged in business dealings in Ukraine after there was a regime change and something went on in China. Let's recap a little bit. Hunter Biden was appointed weeks later to a paid position on the board of directors for Ukraine's largest energy producer, Burisma Energy. Remember, the prosecutor was looking into everything in Ukraine because they saw some shady business dealings going on, and Obama withheld certain funds and forced Ukraine to get rid of that prosecutor, and they did, and the case was dropped. Well, people want to know about this. What went on there? He also went with his father on Air Force Two on a visit to Beijing in December 2013, and within weeks, the vice president's son became involved in a Chinese-American investment partnership with the firm Bohai Harvest RST that sought to raise $1.5 billion from the state-owned Bank of China and other institutions. So the question is, what happened there? And they don't want to answer this. Of course they don't, because it would implicate them in something that would ruin his entire campaign. Now, something else is happening that's very, very interesting, and it has to do with Manafort and all I have to say about this is drip, drip, drip. And it seems like they're dripping out the truth a little bit at a time with everything that Mueller was doing. So it appears the FBI used another fake document to hunt down Trump's former 2016 campaign chairman, Paul Manafort. Now, according to a new report by John Solomon, the FBI used more than the junk Hillary-funded Russian dossier to hunt down Trump and his associates. The Steele dossier, which was paid for by Hillary Clinton and the DNC, was used by the FBI to obtain 4 FISA warrants on the Trump campaign. And they used it to go after Carter Page and others. But there is another fake dossier known as the Black Cash Ledger that was used to take down Paul Manafort. Now, according to John Solomon, the Black Cash Ledger, which emerged in the Ukraine in the summer of 2016, was used to remove Manafort from Trump's campaign and eventually used by the U.S. government to prosecute Manafort. In fact, the FBI agents mentioned this ledger in an affidavit supporting the July 2017 raid on Manafort's home. Now, according to documents, the FBI used the Black Cash Ledger as a reason to rehash a criminal case against Manafort that was previously dropped in 2014. The FBI needed search warrants in 2017 to look through the bank records to prove Manafort worked for a Russian-backed political party in Ukraine. Now, here's the unbelievable part. Really, maybe not really unbelievable. The FBI received several early warnings that the Black Cash Ledger was likely a fake, yet they used it anyway. Mueller's office was also warned that the document was a fraud. So his entire team, knew that if they used the Manafort document, it would require FBI agents to discuss their assessment of the evidence against Manafort. So they sneakily skirted this issue by using media reports that cited the Black Cash Ledger. Even worse, the feds assisted on one of those media reports as a source. And this is coming from John Solomon. The FBI and Mueller's team knew the ledger was a fraud because they never even introduced it to jurors during Manafort's trial last summer. Rather, they just used it to hunt Manafort down, indict him, drag his name through the mud, and that's it. Now, John Solomon, he points out 2 glaring problems with the FBI using the fake Manafort file and media reports to argue probable cause for a search warrant. And, surprise, surprise, Mueller's pitbull, Andrew Weissman, is involved. First, the agent failed to disclose that both FBI officials and Department of Justice prosecutor Andrew Weissman, who later became Mueller's deputy, met with those AP reporters one day before the story was published and assisted their reporting. An FBI record of the April 11, 2017 meeting declared that the AP reporters were advised that they appeared to have a good understanding of Manafort's business dealings in Ukraine. So essentially, the FBI cited a leak that the government had facilitated and then used it to support the Black Ledger evidence, even though it had been clearly warned about the document that it was a fake. Secondly, the FBI was told the ledger claimed to show cash payments to Manafort when, in fact, agents had been told since 2014 that Manafort received money only by bank wires, mostly routed through the island of Cyprus. Memos show this. There is now compelling evidence. The 2 main documents the FBI used to justify investigating the Trump campaign, the Manafort ledger and the Steele dossier, were suspect and contain inaccurate information. And the FBI was warned. This is falling apart around them. Trump and the Patriots, they're leaking this out a little bit at a time. Now, it looks like Meadows is on this. Mark Meadows is preparing a referral asking Inspector General Mike Horowitz to investigate the FBI and Mueller's handling of the warrants on Paul Manafort. And it looks like they're going to get to the bottom of this. I believe they already did, and that's why they're leaking this information out through John Solomon, to let everyone know and to bring everyone up to speed that Manafort looks like was brought in, put on trial with fake information. This is going to ruin everything that Mueller has done. And it's going to turn out the whole entire investigation was fake. But we already knew this. What are they doing? They're informing the public of what is going on. Now, Trump appeared on Hannity, and he dropped another truth bomb. Sean Hannity asked him a question, and he said, I want to know if Italy, Great Britain, Australia, were they outsourced intelligence gathering, high-ranking people, not rank and file, to spy on American citizens and circumvent American laws? Trump said, well, don't forget about Ukraine. Take a look at Ukraine. How come the FBI didn't take the server? Podesta told them to get out. So how come the FBI didn't take the server from the DNC? Think about that one. Now, Trump continued dripping more information out to the public. Remember, he's creating a story through his tweets, and they're dripping out all of this information slowly but surely to get people on the same page. Trump tweeted out the following. So sad that the Democrats are putting wonderful Hope Hicks through hell for 3 years now after total exoneration by Mueller and the Mueller report. They were unhappy with the results, so they want a do-over. Very unfair and costly to her. Will it ever end? Why aren't they asking Hillary Clinton why she deleted and acid-washed her emails after getting a subpoena from Congress? Anybody else would be in jail for that. Yet the Dems refuse to even bring it up. Rigged House Committee. And it is a rigged House Committee. I mean, right now, they're doing a mock impeachment hearing, which is absolutely ridiculous. They're trying to figure out a way to continue with the Mueller report and try to get impeachment. They're looking for something. They're trying to convince the public that there's something there, but there is nothing there. Actually, it's all on the other side. And Trump, the Patriots, have been trying to tell them all along, trying to tell the mainstream media all along that all of it is on the other side. And guess what? Nobody is listening. This is going to be their downfall because they're not looking at anything except one thing, the witch hunt. And there's a reason for that, because they know what Trump knows. They know that the Patriots know it all. They have it all. Trump, during his rally, which we mentioned yesterday, told the people, and remember, this was being televised, told the people that we have the emails and we have a great AG that is looking into everything. Now, this is very interesting, and Q has warned us about this. The House is now holding hearings for slavery reparations. This is very interesting. But before we get to the Q post, listen to what Burgess Owens had to say about it when he was speaking to Congress about these reparations. Take a listen.
Some ideologies. And when I talk about them, when I talk about people, people change. I used to be a Democrat until I did my history and found out the misery that that party brought to my race. I do not believe in reparation, because what reparation does, it points to a certain race, a certain color, and it points them as evil, and points the other race, my race, as one that is not only becomes racist, but also beggars. I do believe in restitution. Let's point to the party that was part of slavery, KKK, Jim Crow, that has killed over 40% of our black babies, 20 million of them. State of California, 75% of our black boys cannot pass standard reading and writing tests, a democratic state. So yes, let's play restoration. Let's play restitution. How about a Democratic Party pay for all the misery brought to my race? And those, after we learn our history, decide to stay there, they should pay also. They're complicit. And every white American, Republican or Democrat, that feels guilty because of your white skin, you should need to pony up also. That way we can get past this reparation and recognize that this country has given us greatness. Look at this panel.
Now, he is out there and he's saying, listen, I used to be a Democrat. Now I understand that it was actually the Democrats that did this. But the question is, why are they holding these slavery reparation hearings right now? What is the true purpose of all of this? Well, we need to go back to post 2868 to find out. This was back February 22nd, 2019. Will the next wave of D2020 candidates begin to push the everything will be free reparations for all black Americans? More government control will save us, etc., etc., etc. Broken record. Lines in order to buy con voters. That is exactly what is going on right now. And Q warned us of this going all the way back to February. Now, Keith Rainier and NXIVM sex cult, they were found guilty. And so this is no longer an alleged sex cult. This is a sex cult. And he was found guilty on all counts. Now, this is very interesting. Remember, this was brought out into the public eye on purpose to get the American people on the same page. Because before, when you heard of Pizzagate and everything else, people were like, oh, this is crazy. That doesn't exist. Now, we have this individual that was found guilty, and now the people can wrap their brains around sex cults do exist. And there are well-known people that we were supposed to respect that are involved in these sex cults. And I do believe the Patriots push this to get the people on the same page. Why? Because think about it. For a very long time now, the deep state has been pushing Hollywood actors, actresses, wealthy individuals, saying these are the people that you're supposed to look up to. These are the people that you should be listening to. Now it's turning out these same people, and some very wealthy, some heiresses to fortunes, and some are Hollywood actors or very well-known individuals, which we'll get into in a minute. We are now seeing that these people have been running this for a very long time. And now that this is out in the open, where people understand that there are things like this, it will be much easier to accept what is coming. The really, really big scandal. This one has to do with Ray Chandler. Go back to post 3156. This is March 20th, 2019. Ray Chandler equals Allison Mack times 100. This will be easier to accept. It will also be much easier to accept that people in positions of power, like politicians or Hollywood actors or actresses that are very high up in the hierarchy, or maybe even certain religious individuals are involved in this. Because coming out of the Daily Mail, it looks like the Dalai Lama was involved in this some way, somehow. The Dalai Lama was paid $1 million to endorse the sex cult. Now, this is very interesting because now we have the Dalai Lama, which is now linked to NXIVM. And this is paving the way to make it easier for people to accept what is coming. Now, today we know that a drone was shot out of the air near Iran. And CENTCOM is saying, listen, we were flying over international airspace. Iran is saying, no, you were flying over Iran. And Trump was sitting with Justin Trudeau, and reporters were asking him questions about Iran. First, take a listen to the banter between Trump and the reporters.
So Roger Penske will be getting and receiving the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Mr. President, you said Iran is a different country. Do you still hold that opinion?
Oh, absolutely. When I came here, Iran was in 14 to 18 different sites of confliction. They were extremely hostile. They were hostile when they signed the deal. They were screaming death to America. And I think probably Iran made a mistake. I would imagine it was a general or somebody that made a mistake in shooting that drone down. And fortunately, that drone was unarmed. There was no man in it, and it was over international waters, clearly over international waters, but we didn't have a man or woman in the drone. We had nobody in the drone.
Are you still open?
It would have made a big difference, let me tell you. Would have made a big, big difference. But I have a feeling, I may be wrong, and I may be right, but I'm right a lot. I have a feeling that it was a mistake made by somebody that shouldn't have been doing what they did.
Who do you think
I think they made a mistake. And I'm not just talking the country made a mistake. I think that somebody under the command of that country made a big
Are you
mistake.
still talking to Iran's leadership?
Let's just see what happens. Let's see what happens. It's all going to work out.
So you think
Members of your administration who want
Say it.
Are you saying you think it wasn't intentional to strike the drone?
I don't know. I find it hard to believe it was intentional, if you want to know the truth. I think that it could have been somebody who was loose and stupid that did it. But we'll be able to report back, and you'll understand exactly what happened. But it was a very foolish move. That I can tell you.
Do you believe there are members of your administration who are trying to push you?
Now, Trump said some very interesting things. First, he said Iran made a big mistake. This drone was in international waters. Clearly, we have it all documented scientifically, not just words. So that tells us right there and then they were monitoring this drone. And they know exactly where it was, what happened, and they were monitoring the entire area. Keep that in mind. He also said that he felt that someone under Iran's command had made the mistake because they were stupid. I find it hard to believe that it was intentional if you want to know the truth. I think it could have been somebody that was loose and stupid that did it. And he went on to say something else. This is a new wrinkle. This is a new fly in the ointment. What happened? Shooting down the drone, and this country will not stand for it. That I can tell you. He said, we'll see what happens. It's all going to work out. Now, this is not an individual that is calling for war. He's not saying red line like the deep state. He's not putting on a production. He's letting everyone know that you will find out in good time why all this happened. Think back to North Korea. Think back to what happened back then. And what he's actually really talking about, this rogue individual or rogue individuals within Iran, this is the deep state, where they're trying to protect their deal. They're trying to protect everything that they've done. And I do believe, just like in North Korea, there are two things happening within Iran. We have the deep state still there, trying to control the situation, holding the country and certain government officials hostage, and they can't break free of this. And remember, Iran has not initiated a war in over 200 years. Why would they go ahead and purposely shoot down a U.S. drone to start a war? Think about it. I mean, if you look back to North Korea, it's the same exact argument. Why would they do this? Why would they try to start a war? The United States has powerful nuclear weapons. Iran would be wiped off the map. It's not Iran itself. It's the rogue deep state within Iran that is doing this. Let's go back to post 1822 for a second here. And this applies to Iran, even though there's North Korea parts in this post. Fake news, knowingly false narrative pushes. POTUS colluded with Russia to win the 2016 presidential election. POTUS is a puppet to Putin. POTUS will collapse the U.S. economy. POTUS will collapse stock market. POTUS will cause war with North Korea. POTUS will cause war with Iran. POTUS will destroy the world. On and on, knowingly false. Fear and scare push. That's exactly what is happening. What is the deep state's worst fear? Trump making a deal with Iran, a new deal, and the old deal being pushed away. Trump removing the deep state players within this country, because that exposes certain individuals, Obama, Kerry, Europe, many leaders in Europe, and many other people. And once they're exposed, everything that they've been trying to hide completely falls apart. And this is why they're trying to stop them. Now, I want to go to Trump's tweet. Trump tweeted out something very interesting. And it's not the words, Iran made a very big mistake. It's the date of when this tweet came out. Because if we go back to post 1570, this post is on June 20th, 2018. Trump tweeted out June 20th, 2019. 1 year exactly. And in this post it says, Iran next, regime in trouble. I mean, this is not a coincidence. This is a Q proof. And Q hasn't really been online on the boards. I do believe that Q has been monitoring what has been going on the boards. But I think Q has left right now to allow all these Q proofs to happen. And if you noticed, there's been a lot of Q proofs. A lot of things that Q has said in the past is now coming true. And that's where we go back to future proves past. And that's what is happening right now. So let's look at the drone and let's look at what it is and what happened here. Iran didn't just shoot down a simple drone. Iran used a surface-to-air missile to shoot down one of the most technologically advanced U.S. aircraft, costing $123 million, more than the price of an F-35 stealth fighter jet. This was a U.S. Navy Broad Area Maritime Surveillance BAMS-D RQ-4A Global Hawk High Altitude Long Endurance drone. This was flying at 65,000 feet in the air. So, again, this wasn't, a shoulder-mounted missile. This was a missile on the ground. What were the Patriots doing at this time? They were monitoring the entire situation. Yes, they had intel where these rogue actors were, where the missile silos were. This is a confirmation. The deep state took the bait. Now they're tracking it all. I don't believe this happened by accident. I believe this was done on purpose. And Annan posted the following. I believe that this was a setup to get the party who attacked the drone to out themselves. There is no way the U.S. would be flying a drone without the technology so close to a foreign enemy, without support, and with the full technology on board. Think of it as luring out your enemy, let them shoot down a non-functioning drone, and get all the info you need from the satellites. I think this was us, the U.S., exposing more of the cabal operating within Iran, and I do believe that's exactly what happened. The deep state, they took the bait, hook, line, and sinker. Trump, he was already saying, listen, I believe it's a rogue actor. I believe that you're going to find out later. And he was letting everyone know, actually telling all of us who've been following this for a very long time, that this was a setup. We got the deep state. We know who it is. It isn't Iran. And people who aren't paying attention, they're scratching their heads saying, well, it's not Iran. It's a rogue actor. What does he mean by that? This doesn't make any sense. Shouldn't we be going to war? But he said it wasn't Iran. And now people are thinking, and this was done on purpose. Think about the 1,000 troops that are heading out to the Middle East right now. You really think they're there for war? Or do you think they're there to hunt down the cabal? Do you think they're there to start and invade Iran? Or do you think they're there to capture these individuals? That's why the troops are out there. This was a sting operation. They wanted the deep state, the cabal, to out themselves. They were monitoring the entire situation. Now they're tracking every single one of them. And I know they came out with this video of the missiles taking off, and they put it to beautiful music, and you hear people screaming, yay, yay, yay. Think about what this video looks like. Remember the Islamic State videos that were out there with the music and everything like that, very nicely done production-wise? Doesn't it seem very similar? Who created that? Oh, the deep state. It's the same exact group. And this was a plan that they used to find out where the rest of them were. Remember, they already dismantled one black site, or maybe multiple. They need to round up the rest. And like Trump said, we're going to find out why all this happened, because the New Deal will be coming out. Once the New Deal comes out, well, other things are going to be exposed. And we're going to see that happen very, very soon. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.